We saw an upswell at the weekend, Michaela, in community backlash through those protests and marches, tens of thousands of people. What was your interpretation? Has that been the trigger for, the calling of a national cabinet meeting and what I would imagine you'd describe as a welcome response?
Look, Greg, thank you I agree with you. There is too much attention at the moment, but it comes from the level of frustration and distress that is being expressed across both our political leadership and from the community. I went to the rally one of the 17 rallies in Geelong, which I've got family and it's part of my community, and it was very moving to be there with people from the local community who were clearly many of them personally impacted by domestic and sexual violence, as you've said, and really calling for urgent attention.
So I know you already describe it and have in all your formal literature as a crisis. What's more, one requiring urgent national attention, Michaela. But as we look at the matters that might be discussed by leaders on Wednesday, is there something wrong fundamentally with the national plan, or is it the way that it's being delivered on the path to 2032?
I think we have a very good national plan. I think that we have a great deal of effort across the country in engaging with people who deliver frontline services, policymakers, those people who have direct lived experience, all engaged in the development of that national plan. As the National Women's Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, said this morning, though, any plan requires tweaking and updating and reviewing when you have emerging issues. And what we are seeing at the moment is an increase this year in the number of women who are dying as a result of family and domestic violence, either through homicide or we have also seen across the year women who have taken their lives themselves to escape domestic violence. So we are seeing an increase in attention from the community, demanding more urgent action and focused attention.
All right. In what form then? You talk about tweaking and updating the plan in the light of more recent tragedies that have happened in this calendar year. Two questions, Michaela. One, are you or your office providing any advice on what those tweaks and updates should be in connection with the National Cabinet meeting? And if not that, well, you can do it here publicly. What are the tweaks and updates?
Look, I think what I'm looking for from National Cabinet, and we are part of government mechanisms, and the Commission was established to provide strategic policy advice to government. So we are in conversation with government around what needs to be addressed and where the targeted action needs to be. I think what I'm looking for from National Cabinet is an absolute commitment, which we've seen from our leaders, to urgent attention and to, as you said in your opening, this is moving very quickly. We both need a balance of urgent attention, but also considered attention to what that needs to be. So a roadmap that all of the states and territories, as part of National Cabinet and the Commonwealth, commit to in terms of what the next steps are in identifying what those priority actions should be. I
noticed that the Queensland Government announced some additional funding only today. Last week, the New South Wales Government responded to the tragedy in Forbes, I should say, with a review of bail arrangements in those states. That state, from where you sit though, Michaela, do we need better coordination around those? Might it have been more helpful if that had happened in the context of a National Cabinet approach?
Look, I think we need both. I think that clearly each jurisdiction has responsibility for leadership in their own state and territory, and we've seen it across the country. We've seen a Royal Commission announced in South Australia, which will be a short, sharp, coming together to look at what can be learnt from the many other inquiries and royal commissions that have happened. I absolutely believe there needs to be greater coordination and collaboration, and I welcome having a national cabinet to do just that.
Now, quite separately to what happens this week that the Prime Minister's calling a national cabinet, your own office is convening a round table or national discussion, I think you're calling it, on these very issues. How will that differ from the deliberations, do you think, or the topics that you think the leaders should be examining this week?
I think that my intention is that roundtable national discussion, as you've described it, will be absolutely aligned with what the leadership of our government is intending. What I am doing is bringing together leaders and experts and people who have direct lived experience themselves of family members that have lost people through homicide, to look at what particularly have a really sharp focus on what can we do to prevent the deaths of women and children from domestic and family violence. So we'll be looking at what are the areas that we can learn from those experts, so experts who have been part of death reviews across the country, frontline workers who are every day seeing the impact of the reform. There is a lot of reform going on, and we need to keep a close eye on how that is impacting. So we're bringing together experts from across the community to again really think about what are the things that we need to accelerate now.
Yeah, the impetus does seem to be on an acceleration, but what of the ultimate end goal here, Michaela Cronin? It is to eliminate violence in a generation, which I'm not sure has been particularly clearly defined. We all have an understanding of what that might be, and there is a definite timeline out over 10 years. As you talk about acceleration, might it be that some of those timelines need to be brought forward?
I don't necessarily. So yes, I do think some of the timelines need to be brought forward. The way I interpret the commitment of this government and all states and territories again to ending gender-based violence against women and children in one generation is that we want to hold ourselves accountable to be the generation that markedly changes the impact of domestic violence within the community. We want to see dramatic reductions in the number of women who are dying as a result of domestic family violence. We want to see dramatic changes in our justice responses to women who are experiencing domestic and sexual violence, and we want to see improvements in service responses across the board.
One final question, which might strike you as a little out of left field, but we will be having a discussion with a Greens senator later in the program, Michaela. This suggestion of a declaration of national emergency around the scourge of domestic violence. Has your office or you in your own professional career given any consideration as to whether that would be or could be applied to the current circumstances?
Look, I think that's for National Cabinet to consider what are the levers that they require to get the level of commitment and action that is required. I think what I am hearing from the community, what I heard at the rally yesterday, and what I am hearing from across my networks is that people are wanting to see urgent, critical attention and focus, and I think National Cabinet, I think we're absolutely seeing that. The levers that government needs to implement and put in place to get that kind of accelerated change is for government to consider. Right,
but does it strike you as outlandish or at least worthy of consideration?
I'm not an expert on what emergency powers would give government. I think that in the context of as I've said, we already have a national plan. We already have the commitments from government. We have a national cabinet has been called for this week. We are seeing government treat this as a crisis and taking urgent action.
Well, you're right, Michaela Cronin. It's definitely getting national, if not international, attention at the moment. And who knows, we might end up talking to you again before too long, if not around National Cabinet, then your own roundtable, which is being held next week. Michaela Cronin, thanks again.
Thanks, Greg.